afternoon, everybody who's finding their way to this little video here. So I am live right now, and I don't know if we're going to see a launch tonight. So this is one of the things that I get cursed with whenever I come down to one of these things, is that the weather gets in the way. So there's some wind out here right now, but this is not the wind that the folks at SpaceX are worried about. It's the upper level winds, and they were expected to be within the range that you could do on a mission like this, but apparently that is a little bit not what they got back from their data. So right now the upper level winds are about 94 miles per hour, and they are not sure if those winds will abate by the time the launch window closes. So they have anywhere from about 6:30 p.m. Eastern time here in the US to about 8:30 p.m. to launch this thing. And if it doesn't get better by the time the end of that window happens, then they have to push it off until tomorrow, and they expect the weather to be better then. So my thought here is to stick around and see this thing, because I've already spent a ton of money to get my butt down here, and I'm determined to see this. So I'll have to have a conversation with my wife tonight. Hopefully she's okay with that. So I see 54 of you are in right now, which is great. We got a great signal here at the Kennedy Space Center. In fact, they got Wi-Fi out here that I haven't connected to yet. I have to wait for the press center to open. So what I thought I would do, I was going to make a video about this. Maybe I'll just do this live and have this published out tonight. I'll give you a look at the Kennedy Space Center and where we're at, all right? So let me take a look here. So behind me is the mission clock. Now this is new in the last 4 years or so. And so this used to be just light bulbs screwed into a fixture, which this kind of still is. They had changed out the inside of it, but the frame is the same as it was before. But now it is a multimedia display that can do video and everything else. They're still running a countdown here, which is a good thing. They typically do that in the hopes that the winds will improve. And then up here is the American flag that you have seen many, many times, the clock and the flag together. This is probably one of the most photographed areas in the world, because most of the historic space missions have left from here. And I'm going to flip the camera around now, so bear with me here, because I'm going to show you some other stuff that is on the other side of me. There we go. So in the distance, I don't know if I can zoom, I can zoom in, how about that? In the distance is the NASA Press Center. So this is where they house us when we're doing these launches. They've got a really nice facility there, good data rates, and all sorts of good stuff to help us get our jobs done. And we've got some more stuff here. I'll pan around a little bit. These areas were used by the news media to cover some of the big launches. In fact, Walter Cronkite broadcast from the roof of one of those buildings when Apollo 11 took off, and many of the other missions that were there. And this building will look very familiar to all of you. This is the Vehicle Assembly Building. This is where they put together the vertically stacked rockets. And right now they're working on the SLS, which is NASA's next big deep space rocket that can carry humans and cargo to the moon and Mars and beyond. That's getting put together in there right now. You can't really see it, I think, from this angle. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. We can't really wander around too freely outside of the press area here, but it's gonna be hard to see. But right now, up to the top of that door is a what they call a mobile launcher, and the SLS is going to be assembled on that. And they're going to have this huge crawler that used to take the shuttle and the Apollo rockets out to the pad, pick that thing up and just bring it out 3 miles to the launch pad all the way out there. And actually in the distance there, let me zoom in a little bit, that is the SpaceX Falcon Heavy that is hopefully going to launch tonight. I don't know, because of the upper level winds. If you're just tuning in, what's happening right now is that the weather is better. Although it's windy right now on the ground, the wind is going to improve at the low level, but at the upper level right now, they're not sure the winds are going to be within the launch parameters. So this might get pushed off till tomorrow, so just bear that in mind. But I'll zoom in and I'll show you kind of it's a little shaky, I apologize, but this is what I see with my eyes about that. So we're gonna get a very close look at this if it does indeed launch tonight. I don't know if it's going to, so don't be disappointed if it isn't, but I thought I would give this little live stream a shot tonight so that you can have something to watch. I like to do a video every other day. And maybe we'll get a closer look here at the clock. This has been upgraded in the last 4 or 5 years, so now it's a multimedia display. As I mentioned before, it used to be just a bunch of light bulbs that were going off, and now it's got all the modern accoutrements. Now we still have a countdown going here. But if they can't get that upper level wind to die down, and the only way to do that is to control the weather, which we can't do yet, we're not going to see a launch today, but we'll see. They were hoping to hit the window at 6:35, but when that weather report came in, that kind of nixed all of that. So they're aiming it for 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not going to live stream that. There will be a bunch from like NASA Spaceflight and others that will be doing some live streams, so you may want to check those out. But I will have a video, if it does launch tonight, for you this evening, which I will edit in that building over there and share with all of you. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you while I'm out here, and please ask some questions while you're watching all this, is this area here. This is called, I believe, the Turning Basin. And if you remember from the space shuttle launches, they had that big fuel tank. Well, that fuel tank gets made in Louisiana, and what they do is they bring it in, or used to bring it in, on a barge from Louisiana. It would pull into here, and they would dock it over there, and they'd just take that tank and put it in that building, put it vertically, attach the space shuttle and the rocket boosters to it, and then they would put the crawler on there, and they'd just move it all the way out to that launch pad. There will be some tanks coming in from Louisiana for the SLS, which they're currently working on in that building, but there's really no word yet as to when that one might launch for the first time. So right now, the launching companies and governments here are SpaceX, which is over there, and then in Cape Canaveral, which is over this way, they have launch pads for the United Launch Alliance, where they have the Atlas V's and the Delta rockets. All those go out from over there. The SpaceX rocket will launch from over here, where it is, and then the 2 boosters will land over there. So we'll get a view of everything when it does launch. So I did get a question about media credentials. So I used to write for, and still do occasionally, for a Connecticut publication. That's how I initially got credentialed. But I think if you apply, you know, give it a shot and see if they will invite you down. There's a lot of folks here, large and small, that cover this. So somebody asked if I got a tour of the vehicle assembly building, which is this building here. Not this time, but I did take a tour of it probably about 3 or 4 years ago, right when they were shutting down the space shuttle program. So it's huge, and it's, again, you'll see pictures of the inside of this building, and you will not have any, you can't get a sense of the scale that this building is. They actually open up the doors at the top because it has its own weather system inside, which is crazy. Somebody else asked what the payload is at the top of that SpaceX rocket over there. It is the Arabsat 6A. It's a communications satellite that will service the Middle East as well. Let me know if the wind is bothering you, everybody. It'll service the Middle East and parts of Europe, I believe, and I think maybe parts of Africa. It's a huge satellite, 6,000 kilograms, and as such, you need to have a big rocket to lift that thing off the ground and into the proper orbit. The heavier it is, the more fuel and thrust you need, and the new Falcon Heavy, I believe, does 5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff, which is substantial. So that big satellite is the only thing that is in there. Thank you, Pimp Twizzit, for the super chat. I appreciate that greatly because this has been an expensive trip so far. So thank you for the help. We did upgrade our rental car for the heck of it, but we're returning the car tonight no matter what. I'll get a cheaper car. So yeah, it's going to be a really, I really wanted to come down for the first one, but I was tied up with some meetings and stuff. So hopefully, if not today, we'll see it tomorrow. And I have to break the news to my wife that I might be here another day. It's hard because I'm in Florida. So we'll see how all of that goes. So yeah, so that is what we're up to here. Let me see if there's any more questions in here. We'll let this run for another minute or two. I think I've shown you everything. So out here is the parking lot where all the media come in, and there's some folks doing their own live streams right now, just trying to update their viewers and followers about what's going on. And this is kind of the calm before the storm. Typically with the NASA missions, there's more to do as far as press is concerned. So what happens too on the missions that NASA launches is they'll have people working on the satellites that they're putting up into space. Thank you, Alan, for your super chat. Much appreciated. They will have people from the different groups that are working on the payloads and everything you can interview. This one is just the launch, so we're not going to have much more beyond that. But I am hoping to get out to a future Falcon Heavy launch because there will be a payload on there from the Planetary Society, and we can talk to some of the folks from there, and I think that would be a fun excursion, so I may come back for that. So forum is nasaspaceflight.com. I have a friend here that runs that site, or is one of the writers on it, and he'd be happy to, he and his group there will be happy to help you with that. Yeah, the wind here is brutal. I just took my phone out and did a little live stream here. The wind is brutal right now for the chances of this rocket going off as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll see. I mean, we're going to stick around for a little while and see if they call it. They're likely going to push through to that. The big question is whether or not they start fueling the Falcon rocket. If they start fueling that, and we'll start seeing some signs of that out here, because you'll start to see some of the venting happen. So we'll see what happens. But it looks like, okay, so Option has quoted my friends at Spaceflight Now. Looks like 8:32, so yeah, they're going right up to the end of the window here, so we'll see. If they decide not to start fueling, then we'll know it's not happening. So we'll see, and carry on there. There's a little wildlife activity. The other thing about the Kennedy Space Center, which a lot of people are not all that familiar with, is that this is a nature preserve. And although there's a lot of construction and spaceflight going on here, most of the land here is a natural habitat for a lot of different creatures, including alligators. And earlier today, we were out at the pad, and I'll have a part of my video will include the pad visit that we took. And they actually had some concrete barriers up to keep the alligators from crawling onto the launch pad. So it's pretty cool. John Ellis points out, yes, that Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy Block 5, which is the current rocket that's out there, they fuel later on in the process. So we'll see what happens. I would imagine if they know it's not going to happen, they probably won't start fueling due to the cost of fueling and defueling and the turnaround time that represents. So we'll see. One of the neat things, though, about the Falcon rocket, I'll zoom back in on it here, is that although it's vertical now on the pad, it comes out horizontally, so they can pull it back in the shed tonight, essentially, and keep it safe inside the building, which you can't do with the NASA rockets, like the Space Shuttle or the upcoming SLS. Let me see if my chat goes by so fast here, I keep losing people on this phone. Will the rockets land back on the Cape? Yes, so there's going to be 2 boosters coming back, which will land, so it's going to launch from where I'm pointing right now, and they're going to land over there. So we'll see those 2 coming down. And what'll happen with the center booster is that it will land on the barge in the ocean. So that's what's going on there. Lewis wants to know if I'm using my 4G connection. I am. I'm on LTE. And right now there's not that many people here at the press center, so I'm not competing much for the LTE bandwidth. But they actually have good Wi-Fi here, which I will turn on in a few minutes if things continue. I'm probably not going to live stream tonight because there's a lot of great streamers that do that. But we will have a great video of what we experienced. That was one of the things that I wanted to do with this is, let me switch here, is I wanted to give you a, my perception, what am I seeing, which is something that I think you don't get from all the close-up stuff that the big folks can do. This is I'm on Verizon right now. I've had very good luck with Verizon over the years. That's who I use. Yes, Jose said there's definitely alligators out there, and I am not getting anywhere near them. Don't worry. I don't like getting eaten by creatures. So, any event. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I might come back on again and give you an update if things change. But I wanted to just give you a little idea of what I've been doing this week, because you may see a little fewer uploads. So stay tuned. And yep, I'll make sure I got my sunblock in the car. Hopefully the sun will start going down soon, and I will prevent any kind of sunburn from going on. But stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have some launch videos going on. But if not, we will come back tomorrow and hopefully have it then. And I'm determined to see this thing go off one way or the other. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back in a little bit, and over 100 of you came by. So thank you all for stopping in, and we'll be back soon.